do it right. Be sure that you work in the best interests of your clients.
I've seen this steady, steel-minded, constant, compassionate person. And when you're with someone like that, it makes you really strive to do things that you may not do otherwise.
If you work with people of ethics, integrity, and commitment to service, then it rubs off on you, and you're inspired by it. And that's how it was being with Emmett.
It's that integrity, and it's a focus on doing the right thing at all times that has distinguished them among his peers.
You have to remember that there are a lot of good engineering firms in the Southeast. So many of these firms can probably do what we're being asked to do. But why would they pick us over somebody else? Because they know us and they have confidence in us. And you don't ever want to lose that.
Every meeting was a learning experience, not just about engineering. It was about how one should lead their life.
I think that the sweetness about him makes you want to do more, try harder, be better. And it's a way of inspiring people without it being heavy.
He really is focused on giving back to the community where he lives and works, in growing the profession of architectural engineering.
If you take a look at what he did for the Citadel, if you take a look at what he's done for the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, it's really that legacy that I think he's known for amongst those that have worked side by side with him. I think that that's the sign of a servant leader, not just the fact that he impacts through bricks and mortar, but he's able to impact communities, and it really begins with his home.
He teaches you by you watching him, and it is his character and goodness, his work ethic, his kindness is so inspiring.
Mark Twain once said that the two most important days in anybody's life is the day you're born and the day you discover why. And I think Mr. Davis has known that building a business and giving back to others and building relationships has been the why for him.
I think I'd like to be remembered as somebody that enjoyed what he was doing, enjoyed the people he was working with, and appreciated the efforts, and look forward to the next day. You're going to have good days and bad days, but just make sure your good days outnumber your bad days.
Please welcome Mr. Emmett Davis.
After all those great comments, I think I better sit down. I'm going to tell you, though, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate being here tonight. This is a really distinguished crowd, great friends. So good to see everybody here. And I just wish I had more time to spend with each one of you. But I am deeply honored by being selected as one of the laureates for the night. It's something that I did not expect, but I deeply appreciate. You know, we all try to accomplish something in our lives, but we can't do it alone. And no matter what business you're in, you're part of a team. And the thing that has helped me is more than anything else over the years has been the fact that I have been surrounded by great people, competent people who like to get things done, didn't knock down the door at 5 o'clock, and just made things happen. And in today's world, you know, you hear a lot about the younger generation that don't want to work, that don't want to do this. I disagree with that. We've got some fine young engineers that I assure you will compete with anybody, anywhere, as time goes on. And just look forward to working with them, training with them, and most of all, learning from them. Things they teach in engineering schools today, was foreign to what I was when I was when I was there. We were still dragging slide rules around. But that's not true today. But you know, the thing that I like about the profession I'm in is you meet so many fine people. You meet people who like to get things done. You meet people who build things, who do things, who build the economy, who run good businesses, and they appreciate good service. And one thing you have to do in our business, no matter how good you are, you're going to make mistakes. But I found out a long time ago, and I tell all the young engineers in our firm, if you make a mistake, just go to the client and say, I made a mistake, but I'll fix it. Won't cost you a thing. We'll do whatever's necessary to make it right. I've never had anybody walk away as a client when we take that attitude. But it's a very satisfying business, and one that I hope we could encourage a lot more people to enter. We're having a shortage of engineers over the country now. One problem is that they're having trouble with math when they get out of high school, they go to college, and they don't do well the first year, and they drop out of engineering and go into something else. We've got to stop that. We've got to correct this situation so that they're prepared to do the math that's necessary when they leave high school and enter a college. This has been a great career as far as I'm concerned. And I look back and just think how fortunate I've been over the years to have gotten the education that I did at the Citadel in engineering, and the opportunity to work with some fine people for so long, for so many years. And I look forward to continuing that as much as possible, but now I think our main effort is to train the younger people and encouraging them the fact that you've got to do jobs, and you've got to do them right. And you've got to be straightforward with people. If they ask you a simple question, give them a simple answer. And if you don't know, say, I don't know, but I'll find out and tell you. And that'll never come back and bite you. And I'll tell my son, Stephen, who's really running the company now, be sure, Stephen, that you don't ever hire anybody that's not smarter than you are. Because if you do, you'll have to wet nurse them all the time. You don't want to have to train them after you get them. But it's a great company, and I appreciate being recognized here tonight more than any of you can imagine. Thank you so much for letting me be here, and I hope to have a chance to visit with all of you at one time or another in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, for your contributions to business in South Carolina, and welcome to the South Carolina Business Hall of Fame. Our last honoree this evening is Mr. Patrick W. McKinney, who was the salesman that made Kiowa Island what it is today and is the current chairman of the South Carolina Ports Authority.
His sense of integrity are beyond reproach.
When you're with Pat, you just feel so good because you know he's for you.
Business, sales, you name it. He wants to be the best.
The first time I ever met him, I had the feeling I was going to be his friend, and I was so excited to learn what he was doing, and he just so challenged me by his accomplishments.
Pat has an excellent image where he carries himself well. People have confidence in him and they trust him. And so he evokes a real sense of bringing leadership to whatever he does.
I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Had a very hard-working mother and father. Not a life of privilege. It was very much a middle-class kind of environment. After my freshman year of college, I had an opportunity to go out and leave home for the summer with some friends who had gone to work the year before for a company out of Nashville, Tennessee called the Southwestern Company. And this was a company that for 100 years had hired college students to sell books during the summer. And the division I was in was the Bible division. So for 3 summers, I went out to 3 different states in the summertime and sold Bibles door to door. Turned out I was pretty good at it. And because of some of the people that I worked with in that organization who ended up going to Hilton Head, that's how I got an opportunity after college to go down and get involved in selling real estate at Sea Pines on Hilton Head.
We've been friends and business partners for almost 40 years. He has the unusual capacity in that he's a businessman and a salesman, and those two don't always go together.
One of my first computers was an old compact portable computer. I taught myself how to use Lotus 123, and by the time we got involved with a partnership to buy Kiowa Island in 1988, I was able to write a financial model to buy Kiowa Island for $105 million.
I knew that I didn't want to head up this group unless I had some real knowledge from people who knew what they were doing, and that would have been Frank Brumley and Pat McKinney.
Pat and I were really responsible for running the island and for doing sales and for being the CEO to get things cranked up out there.
I remember telling him the interest was $38,312.64 per day. Well, when you owe that much money, there's a lot of motivation. You need to pay it back.
We had some real successful early years and things went well, and an awful lot of it I give Pat credit for because he's a great salesman.
If I ever get discouraged or I felt like, boy, this is really a tough time, he'd be one of the first people I'd call.
Pat is a person who's very focused on doing well and doing well for his family, doing well for his church, for his community.
Pat is one of the most family-oriented persons that I know. He and his wife Pam and their daughters, they are very, very close.
You always know that if you trust God and you work hard, God is going to honor what you do, and that's kind of been the pattern of his life.
The single biggest thing that helped me along that road was marrying Pam in 1984. She had a walk in her life, a relationship with her Lord, that was something that was very, very attractive to me. Mine was not nearly as good as hers, but she lived her life in such a way that I wanted to have more of that.
You never really know a business partner until things go bad. Pat McKinney is the kind of partner that you want because you know you can count on him through good times and bad times.
Pat's one of those people who's helped me want to do better. When I see what God has accomplished in his life, it makes me want to try harder.
He just knows so many people in the state, and he's such a wonderful person that he's a natural asset for the state of South Carolina.
After about 20 years in business, I figured out, instead of interviewing people the normal way, I'd begin to interview them by asking them the question,